Bishop Thomas Daly is next, but first, the Archbishop of the Military Services, Timothy Broglio, has weighed in on the U.S. Navy's June 24th ban on personnel visiting, patronizing, or engaging in indoor religious services due to COVID-19. Archbishop Broglio issued a statement on July 4th lamenting the Navy's position, saying, quote, "The provision is particularly odious to Catholics because frequently there is no longer a Catholic program on naval installations due to budgetary constraints, or many installation chapels are still closed," end quote. The Archbishop added that because the Navy cannot legally prohibit families of personnel from attending off-base services, the protective effect of the ban for personnel seems questionable. We'll keep an eye on this story. Now, last week we reported on the story of a CEO of Catholic Charities in Spokane, Washington, making a statement about racism. This statement.
I am a racist. My Catholic Church and my Catholic Charities organization is racist.
That was Rob McCann. He's the CEO of Eastern Washington's Catholic Charities. Well, needless to say, the comments made national headlines. Here with me tonight is the Bishop of Spokane with his reaction and the steps he's taken since they were made. Please welcome Bishop Thomas Daly to the program.
Thank you,
Bishop
Raymond.
Daly, what did you think when you first heard Mr. McCann's video message there, and what did your people say?
I think it was a message that initially was one of shock. The sad events of the last few months in our country, where there have been violence and trying to address the issue of race, a number of people phoned and called, and both of priests and laity, saying, you know, this is not helpful to make a blanket statement that the whole Catholic Church is racist. Not to take from an individual's struggling with the issue, but it was the broad stroke that the church is racist, the entire institution of Catholic Charities is racist. I think it was seen as inaccurate, and some people even would say reckless.
Now, McCann, you met with him, and he's since issued a letter providing some retractions and clarifications of what he meant in the video. However, he continues to support the Black Lives Matter organization, writing, "Our support of the important nonviolent racial justice advocacy of Black Lives Matters is specifically support for human dignity, which has a clear connection to Catholic social teaching. To be clear, we support the concept of Black Lives Matter, but that does not mean we support any elements of the movement that promote violence or violate church teaching." Now, BLM supports the disruption of the nuclear family structure. This is from their own website. How does that not violate church teaching, Bishop?
Well, that was the conflict. In fact, in my letter, a response to that, I mentioned that it still puzzles me. And a line was very clear. We can stand for Black lives, but without standing for Black Lives Matter. And I think that inherently there is a strong, fundamental problem with the agenda that is promulgated by the BLM movement. And that, I think, is where the conflict still is. And yes, it's clear that there wasn't a desire for violence or anything like that. But when you look, as you said, on their website and what they hold and their foundation, it is so greatly opposed to church teaching on family life and the dignity of the individual.
Oh, and you say that in your letter, and I'm going to read a little bit of it. At the end of the letter, you talk about how it's in conflict with church teaching, and its silence on the violence we've seen rip cities apart has not gone unnoticed, or and one need not stand with BLM to stand for Black lives, you write. Do you plan to have further discussions with Mr. McCann addressing his support of the organization? I know a lot of people withholding funds from Catholic Charities over these statements.
Well, there's the calls have been coming in fact, in one of the bordering dioceses, the bishop expressed concern to me that he had received calls, or his chancery, as if to say that there is one Catholic Charities for the entire country, or at least for the state of Washington. And I think my conversations, which I plan on having with Dr. McCann moving forward, will address this. I think I offered 3 concrete steps that I believe we can move forward on this. I would say that it is an issue that we cannot walk away from. We have to deal with it up front because it is so fundamental to how the church is able to proclaim what it believes and teaches.
Yeah, well, and the idea that the church is racist. I mean, as I said weeks ago when this was first, we first saw this, this is the church of Henriette Daly and Martin de Porres, and we've had black popes. I mean, this is absurd to throw out something like that. Now, you've proposed 3 steps, as you mentioned a moment ago, in the Archdiocese. One, at least for this year, the annual Catholic Charities Christmas collection will either be replaced by or taken in conjunction with the Black and Indian Missions collection. You're also asking Catholic Charities to sponsor a series of speakers approved by yourself to address the subject of church and race. And Catholic Charities will address the issue of abortion and its detrimental effect on the Black community. Give us a sense of why you decided on these 3 action items, if you will, and was there a reluctance, to your eye, from Catholic Charities to address this issue of abortion?
No, I think, in fact, the issue of the collection, Dr. McCann said, well, we can just we'll drop our Christmas collection and we'll have the Black and Indian missions. And I said, no, I think we should provide an opportunity for a choice. I think the lecture series of talks is very important because it begins first with constructive discussion that's respectful, that's rooted in truth and reality, rather than just pure emotion or pandering to a crowd. And I think that will be very helpful. There's a number of speakers on both sides of this issue, and I think that's a very important starting point, a respectful presentation discussion. And then the issue of abortion, since I've become the Bishop of Spokane, I'm in 5 years now, we've started a pro-life walk within the community, and we have many people who are very strong in the pro-life movement. And whenever I have discussions on the issue, especially of abortion, I said, there's many voices out there, both secular and sacred, about care and concern for the poor, for immigration, of very important topics. But when it comes to the unborn, the voices are very few and far between, and the church has been held up and also greatly criticized in circles because of our pro-life stance. And the most vulnerable, the so-called widows and orphans of today's society, are the unborn, their mothers, family life. And so I think it's very important for us to stay focused. We cannot be a church for people on the margins if we don't include abortion. And that's, as we debated in the Bishops' Conference, the preeminent issue when it comes to this. And all, I think, form that, how we take care of the most vulnerable. And in the Black community in New York, the statistics are readily available, and that's a great tragedy.
Yeah. Bishop Thomas Daly, I wish we had more time. I thank you for your clarity, your willingness to come on, and the strength of your statements. This is something we're not used to seeing, and I applaud you for it. I know the audience will as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Raymond. God bless.